The fluorescent lights in the pediatric oncology wing buzzed like angry wasps, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow that made my son look even paler than he already was. Little Marcus, just 5 years old, sat in the oversized treatment chair, his Spider-Man backpack hanging off the side, his tiny arm extended as the nurse carefully inserted the 4 for his first round of chemotherapy. His brown eyes, usually so bright and full of mischief, looked up at me with a trust so complete it shattered something deep in my chest. "Mommy, will this make the bad cells go away?" he asked, his voice small and hopeful, still clutching the stuffed elephant his teacher had given him when we told the class why he wouldn't be coming to school anymore. I forced my lips into a smile, brushing my fingers through his curls, already knowing these beautiful ringlets would be gone soon. "Yes, baby. The medicine is going to fight those bad cells and make you strong again." The diagnosis had come 3 weeks ago, landing on our lives like a meteor strike. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. The doctor's words had barely made sense through the roaring in my ears. My healthy, energetic little boy who'd been complaining about his legs hurting and bruising too easily. I'd thought maybe he was just playing too rough at kindergarten. Instead, his bone marrow was producing cancer cells, flooding his tiny body with a disease that had no business touching someone so young, so innocent, so mine. The nurse, a kind woman named Patricia with gentle hands and tired eyes, smiled at Marcus. "You're being so brave, sweetheart. Just like a real superhero." Marcus perked up at that, sitting a little straighter despite the needle in his arm. "I'm gonna be strong like Spider-Man," he declared, and my heart cracked further. That's when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I almost ignored it. The whole world could have been ending outside this treatment room and I wouldn't have cared. But something made me glance at the screen. My sister. Rachel. "Hey, I know you wanted me to watch Marcus tonight while you handle insurance stuff, but I can't. My spa day got moved to tonight. Sorry." I stared at the message, reading it once, twice, 3 times. Each word felt like a small explosion in my brain. I'd asked her 2 weeks ago. Begged her, actually. Tonight was the only time the insurance company's special claims department was available to discuss Marcus's treatment coverage. A call that could mean the difference between financial survival and complete ruin. She'd promised. She'd looked me in the eyes and promised. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, shaking. Around me, the chemo drugs began their slow drip into my son's veins, poison designed to save his life, each bag costing more than my monthly rent. "Rachel, this is really important. I need you tonight. Please." The response came almost instantly. "Look, I've had this spa package booked for months. You can't expect me to drop everything just because Marcus has appointments. Reschedule your call. Just because Marcus has appointments." Like this was a dentist visit. Like my 5-year-old wasn't sitting here receiving toxic chemicals to fight the cancer trying to kill him. Like I hadn't spent the last 3 weeks sleeping in hospital chairs, learning medical terminology I never wanted to know, holding my baby while he screamed through bone marrow biopsies. "Everything okay?" Patricia asked gently, noticing my expression. I couldn't speak. I just shook my head and turned back to Marcus, who was watching the red liquid slowly fill the 4 tube with curious fascination. "It looks like cherry juice," he observed. "Kind of, buddy," I managed, my voice cracking. My phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. "Rachel told me you're upset with her. She needs self-care too, honey. You can't expect everyone to revolve around Marcus's situation. We all have lives." Marcus's situation. Like it was a minor inconvenience. Like my baby's life wasn't hanging in a delicate balance that required everything I had and more. Then another text, this time from Rachel again. "Mom's right. You've become completely self-absorbed since the diagnosis. Not everything is about Marcus." I felt something cold and sharp slide between my ribs. Not everything is about Marcus. My 5-year-old son with cancer. My child who'd asked me this morning if he was going to die, who'd cried when his hair started falling out in clumps yesterday, who was so scared of the needles but tried to be brave anyway. Before I could respond, my father chimed into the group chat Rachel had apparently started. Your sister has been very patient with you. This obsession with Marcus is unhealthy. Kids get sick. They recover. Stop making everyone's life revolve around your drama. Drama. My son's cancer was drama. Patricia had moved away to check on another patient, giving us privacy. Marcus had closed his eyes, the medication making him drowsy. His little hand was still in mine, his fingers so small and fragile, his nails still painted with the Superman decals he'd insisted on before we left home this morning. I looked down at my phone, at the messages from my family. The people who were supposed to love me, support me, hold me up when I couldn't stand anymore. Instead, they were annoyed. Inconvenienced. Tired of my drama. Another buzz. Rachel again, and honestly? You're using Marcus to get attention. He's probably fine and you're milking it. Something inside me didn't just break. It incinerated. Turned to ash and blew away, leaving nothing but cold clarity in its place. My thumbs moved across the screen, typing out a response before my brain could catch up. Marcus has cancer. He's 5 years old and receiving chemotherapy as I text you. But you're right, your spa day is definitely more important than helping your nephew survive. I hope the massage is worth it. I hit send and immediately 3 dots appeared. Then my mother. How dare you guilt trip your sister like that? She has needs too. Needs. A spa day was a need. But my son's fight for his life was optional, apparently. Something I was exaggerating for attention. My father's message was worse. You've always been dramatic. Even as a child. Marcus will be fine. Stop using him as an excuse to avoid responsibility. Responsibility. Like caring for my dying child wasn't responsibility. Like fighting with insurance companies and learning about blast cell counts and crying in hospital bathrooms wasn't responsibility. Rachel's next text was the final nail. You're toxic. Everyone is tired of walking on eggshells around you. Get therapy and stop making Marcus's illness about you. I stared at that message until the words blurred. Marcus stirred slightly beside me, murmuring something in his medication-induced drowsiness. I set my phone face down on my lap and took his hand in both of mine, pressing it against my cheek. I'm here, baby, I whispered. Mama's here. The treatment would take 4 hours. 4 hours of watching poison drip into my son's tiny body, hoping it would kill the cancer faster than it damaged everything else. 4 hours of my family telling me I was selfish for expecting them to care. Patricia returned with a warm blanket, draping it over Marcus's small frame. You doing okay, Mom? She asked quietly. I wasn't. I was drowning. But I nodded anyway, because what else could I do? She hesitated, then gently touched my shoulder. I don't know what's on your phone, but I can see it's upsetting you. Whatever it is, it can wait. He needs you present, not distracted. She was right. I picked up my phone one last time, opened the settings, and did something I'd never imagined doing. One by one, I blocked my sister's number. Then my mother's. Then my father's. The silence was immediate and profound. Marcus's breathing evened out as the medications pulled him into sleep. The machines beeped their steady rhythm, the Ford dripped its life-saving poison, and for the first time in 3 weeks, I felt something other than terror. I felt rage. Pure, clean, clarifying rage. They could have their spa days and their comfortable lives and their resentment. I would have my son. And I would fight for him with everything I had, even if I had to do it completely alone. Because Marcus was worth more than all of them combined. And if they couldn't see that, they didn't deserve to be part of his story. The first week after blocking my family's numbers felt like walking through a dream. Marcus's treatment schedule was brutal. Chemotherapy sessions every 3 days, blood draws every morning, constant monitoring for infections that could kill him faster than the cancer. I'd quit my job at the accounting firm the day after his diagnosis, burning through my savings to be with him every second. Our apartment in downtown Portland felt like a memory of another life, the one where my biggest worry was Marcus getting enough vegetables at dinner, not whether his white blood cell count was too low to fight off a simple cold. But the silence from my phone was deafening in a different way. I'd expected anger. Retaliation. Instead, there was nothing. No calls from unknown numbers, no showing up at the hospital, no attempts to reach me through friends. It was as if I'd simply ceased to exist to them the moment I stopped being useful. Dr. Amati, Marcus's oncologist, had warned me this would be the hardest part. Not the medical crisis, but the emotional isolation. Cancer doesn't just affect the patient, she'd said during one of our many consultations. It reveals who people really are. And sometimes that's the most painful part. She was right. It was Tuesday morning, Marcus's 8th chemo session, when the dam finally broke. We were in the treatment room, the same one we always requested because Marcus liked the window that looked out over the hospital's garden. He was coloring in a Spider-Man coloring book, his concentration fierce despite the nausea medication making his hands shake slightly. His hair was almost completely gone now, just a few stubborn patches clinging to his scalp. He'd cried about it once, then declared he looked like Professor X from the X-Men and decided it was actually cool. My brave, beautiful boy. The door opened and I expected Patricia, but instead, a social worker named James stepped in, carrying a clipboard and wearing the kind expression that meant complicated conversations were coming. "Ms. Torres," he said gently. "Do you have a few minutes?" My stomach dropped. "Is this about the insurance?" "Partially." He pulled up a chair, positioning himself so he wasn't looming over Marcus, who'd looked up from his coloring with curious eyes. "Hey there, Marcus. That's a great Spider-Man you're working on." "Thanks," Marcus said proudly. "Mommy says Spider-Man fights bad guys just like I'm fighting bad cells." "Your mommy is absolutely right." James smiled, then turned to me. "The financial coordinator wanted me to talk with you about your payment plan. You're 3 weeks behind on the initial treatment costs." The number he quoted made my vision swim. I'd known it was coming. The insurance company had denied half the claims, calling parts of Marcus's treatment experimental, despite Dr. Amati's insistence they were standard care. The appeals process was a nightmare of paperwork and phone calls that went nowhere. "I'm working on it," I said, hating how my voice shook. "I have an appeal pending, and I'm trying to set up a payment plan." "I understand." James's voice was kind but firm. "But I also need to make sure you have support. The intake forms list your sister and parents as emergency contacts and support system." "Should I reach out to them?" "No." The word came out sharper than I intended. They're not available." James studied me for a long moment. Marcus had gone back to his coloring, humming softly to himself, oblivious to the adult worries swirling around him. "Ms. Torres, I've been doing this for 15 years, James said quietly. "And I can always tell when someone is carrying everything alone. It's not sustainable. You need help." "I'm fine." "You're not sleeping. You've lost at least 15 pounds since intake. The nurses say you never leave Marcus's side, not even to eat properly." He leaned forward. "You can't take care of him if you collapse." I wanted to argue, but tears were already burning behind my eyes. He was right. I was running on fumes in desperation, held together by nothing but the terror of losing Marcus and the rage at everyone who'd abandoned us. "My family." I started, then stopped. How could I explain? How could I make him understand that the people who were supposed to love me had decided a spa day was more important than my son's life? "They made it clear I'm on my own," I finished quietly. James nodded slowly, like this wasn't the first time he'd heard something like this. "Okay. Then we'll find you other support. There are parent groups, financial assistance programs, volunteer networks. You don't have to do this alone." But I did feel alone. Desperately, achingly alone in a way that had nothing to do with practical support and everything to do with the betrayal still festering in my chest. After James left, Marcus tugged on my sleeve. "Mommy, why are you sad?" I'm not sad, baby. I'm just tired. He studied me with those two wise eyes, then patted my hand with his small one. It's okay to be sad sometimes. That's what you tell me. I pulled him close, careful of his foreline, breathing in his scent, still that sweet little boy smell underneath the hospital soap and antiseptic. You're right. I am a little sad. But being here with you makes it better. Good. He snuggled against me. Because you're the best mommy in the whole world. I held him and cried silently, letting the tears soak into his hospital gown while he drifted off to sleep, his little body fighting a war he shouldn't have to fight. My phone, silent for days, suddenly buzzed. An unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Elena? My mother's voice, sharp and accusatory. We need to talk. I should have hung up. I should have blocked this number too. But something in me needed to hear what she'd say. Needed confirmation that blocking them had been the right choice. What do you want, Mom? Rachel is devastated. Absolutely devastated. She's been crying for days because you blocked her over something so petty. Petty. My son's cancer was petty. She had a spa appointment, I said flatly. Marcus had chemotherapy. I made my choice. You're being unreasonable. She's been there for you plenty of times. Name one. Silence. Name one time, I repeated, my voice deadly calm, that Rachel has been here for Marcus since his diagnosis. One visit. One meal dropped off. One text asking how he's doing. More silence, then, she's been busy. Her life doesn't stop just because Marcus is sick. He has cancer, Mom. He's 5 years old and he has cancer, and she chose a spa day over helping him. You're twisting everything. You always do this, make yourself the victim. I'm hanging up now. If you hang up, don't expect us at his funeral. The words hit like a physical blow. I actually gasped, clutching the phone so hard my knuckles went white. Marcus stirred in his sleep, and I forced myself to breathe, to stay quiet, to not scream the way I wanted to. Excuse me? I whispered. You heard me. My mother's voice was ice. If you're going to shut us out of his life, don't come crawling back when things get worse. We're done being treated like villains for having boundaries. Boundaries. She thought watching my son die alone was about boundaries. You're right, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. We are done. Lose this number too. I hung up and immediately blocked it. Then I sat there, staring at Marcus's sleeping face, his little chest rising and falling, the 4 in his arm delivering medicine that cost more than my car, fighting a disease that had a 75% survival rate if he could just make it through treatment. 75%. Those odds meant nothing to my family. But they meant everything to me. Patricia came in to check Marcus's vitals, took one look at my face, and paused. You want to talk about it? My mother just said not to expect them at Marcus's funeral. Patricia's face went through several emotions, shock, anger, disgust, before settling on a fierce protectiveness. Then they don't deserve to be in his life at all. Period. I keep thinking maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting. Stop. She put her hand on my shoulder. I've been a pediatric oncology nurse for 23 years. I've seen families torn apart and families strengthened. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, anyone who treats a child's cancer as an inconvenience doesn't deserve access to that child. Or his mother. Her words settled something in me. Some last, desperate hope that maybe I was the problem, that maybe I was being too sensitive, too demanding, too dramatic, all the things they'd always said about me. But I wasn't. I was being a mother. And that was all that mattered. That evening, after Marcus's treatment finished and we'd settled into our tiny apartment, the medications making him sleepy and nauseous, I sat in the kitchen and made a list. Everything I needed to do, everyone I needed to contact, every system I needed to build to survive this without my family. Financial assistance programs. parent support groups, hospital social services, a lawyer to fight the insurance denials, a fundraiser, maybe, though the thought made me cringe with embarrassment. But I'd do it. All of it. Whatever it took. Because Marcus deserved someone who would fight for him without conditions. Without resentment. Without keeping score. He deserved a mother who chose him every single time. And that's exactly what I was going to be. The next 3 months were the hardest of my life. Marcus's treatment intensified, the chemo making him violently sick, the steroids making him rage and cry and not recognize himself. His little body swelled with fluid retention, his skin grew paper thin and bruised at the slightest touch. There were nights I thought I'd lose him, watching his temperature spike to dangerous levels, rushing to the ER at 3 in the morning, holding him while he sobbed that he just wanted it to stop. But there were victories too. Small ones that felt monumental. His blast cell count dropping. His bone marrow showing signs of remission. The day he laughed at a cartoon, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. And through it all, my phone stayed silent. No calls from my family. No texts. No attempts to reach out, to apologize, to see how their grandson and nephew was doing. At first, it hurt like an open wound. Then it became white noise. Then, finally, it became freedom. I found my people in the oncology ward. Other parents fighting the same battle, understanding the same terror. We traded tips on managing nausea, celebrated good blood counts together, held each other through the bad days. Patricia became more than a nurse, she became my friend, my confidant, the sister I should have had. James, the social worker, helped me navigate the financial nightmare, connecting me with grants and assistance programs that kept us afloat. Dr. Amati fought the insurance company like a warrior, refusing to back down until they approved the treatments Marcus needed. 6 months after diagnosis, 6 months after blocking my family, Marcus's latest bone marrow biopsy came back clear. Complete remission. I held him in the treatment room while Dr. Amati delivered the news, both of us crying happy tears for the first time since this nightmare began. Patricia brought in cupcakes, real ones, made by the hospital's volunteer baker who saved them for special occasions. "We did it, Mommy," Marcus whispered, his arms around my neck. "We beat the bad cells. You did it, baby. You're so strong." That night, tucked into his own bed for the first time in days, Marcus looked up at me with serious eyes. "Mommy, why don't Grandma and Grandpa and Aunt Rachel visit anymore?" I'd been dreading this question, trying to find words that wouldn't hurt him. "Sometimes," I said carefully, "people in our lives aren't ready to be brave with us. And that's okay. We found other people who are. Like Miss Patricia." "Exactly like Miss Patricia." He thought about this, then nodded. "Okay. I like Miss Patricia better anyway. She brings me stickers." I laughed, kissing his forehead, his skin finally feeling normal temperature, his body finally healing. My phone sat on the nightstand, still silent. And for the first time since I'd blocked those numbers, I didn't feel any regret at all. Because I'd chosen Marcus. I'd chosen us. And we'd survived. Not because of them, but in spite of them. And that made us stronger than they'd ever be.